A man has been jailed for a minimum of 7 years for the kidnap and rape of a 17-year-old girl in Clacton in March. Daniel Brahman, who lives in Jaywick in that area, pleaded guilty at an earlier hearing. He was also placed on the sex offenders register for life.
Coastguards have issued a warning to ships off the Suffolk coast after a cargo ship bound for the UK shed nearly 60 tonnes of timber into the sea. The load was lost in Dutch waters and poses a particular threat to small fishing vessels and yachts.
The Norwegian vessel was bound for the UK when it shed some 60 tonnes of timber overboard after hitting rough weather yesterday morning. The wood is now floating in the North Sea, 55 miles east of Lowestoft, and the Dutch Coast Guard has issued a warning to all vessels using the nearby shipping lanes. Smaller boats are at a greatest risk of damage.
It's not so dangerous for a big steel vessel, but the smaller vessels and the pleasure crafts, they can have serious problems when they hit a package of wood.
But not everyone is hoping the wood stays in Dutch waters. 18 months ago, 100 tonnes of timber was washed up on the shores of Suffolk in similar circumstances.
We went through all the right channels, received with the wrecks, straight to the underwriters, did all that. They said, you've sticked and stacked it, you can have 50%, we sold a little bit. You asked me if we want any more? Oh yeah, we had double this at least. It's going very fast, so bring it on. We'll be down there and collect it up again.
Both the Yarmouth and Dutch Coast Guards will continue to watch the weather and monitor the situation until the wood is safely salvaged. Mariam Ismdar, BBC Look East.
The operators of the long-stay car park at Stansted Airport have deployed staff to meet travellers whose cars may have been destroyed in a fire. Crews were called to the terminal's long-stay car park in the early hours of Sunday and found several cars alight. The blaze is not being treated as suspicious.
Researchers working on trials of genetically modified crops in Norfolk say they can protect food from disease. In a recent trial, the GM potatoes were resistant to blight and required no spraying to protect them.
We have a block of 16 GM potato plants, which we planted out at the beginning of June. And next to it, we have a block of 16 Desiree potatoes.
At the John Innes Centre in Norwich, these potatoes are planted behind an alarmed fence for security. The normal non-GM crop has been destroyed by potato blight. The genetically modified crop appears to have survived. It's had a gene inserted from a wild South American potato, and the scientists say this is nothing to worry about.
We eat genes that are very similar to this every day. Very, very similar genes are in any vegetable that you eat. They're in salad, they're in tomatoes. There are already some resistance genes in potatoes as well, so we currently eat them. We've done nothing that nature hasn't already done.
On this farm in Norfolk, they grow 600 acres of potatoes, and these are destined for Sainsbury's. Blight is the #1 potato disease, and to beat it, farmers need to spray fungicides every week in late summer. They wouldn't need to with GM potatoes, a big advantage, but only if the public wants them.
If people want to ultimately buy GM potatoes, then we will grow them. If there's no marketplace for them, if people don't want to eat them, then there's no marketplace. We're not going to grow them. I mean, we're not going to grow something on spec just because it's GM.
There are already conventionally bred blight-resistant potatoes in a number of varieties, and that's research that could expand into other varieties. And there is no demand. Consumers are not demanding GM potatoes. Supermarkets aren't looking to stock them. There is no market.
The scientists in Norwich say they could be just 5 years away from a commercial product, but with red tape and opposition, the wait will be much, much longer. Ian Barmer, BBC Look East, Norwich.
You're watching Look East from the BBC. Coming up, an innings or...
The controversy over the betting scam and the Pakistani cricket team continued to rage today, but in Luton, some of the players were doing their bit for the flood victims in Pakistan.
They were with people from across the town who came together under the banner of United Luton to raise money. Organisers are promising to ensure that every penny goes to the disaster relief.
As the Pakistan betting scandal broke, their one-day captain, Shahid Afridi, was in Luton, involved in a very different kind of bidding war for a signed cricket ball.
500, Bilal, is that your bid? £500. Sister, 600, we'll go up to 600. It's Maghrib time, and we've gone up to 900. £1,000 table number 700, 1,500, sister, mashallah, jazakallah khair. 1,500 pounds. The spirit, mashallah. 1,800. 2,000 pounds from Bilal, mashallah. 5,000 will provide water for 2,000 people every single day.
You bid how much for the cricket ball?
£5,000.
Did you feel you got carried away?
No, not at all. I know what it's for. I'm used to bidding because I'm a property developer and I buy property, so I never get carried away when it comes to that sort of thing.
I'm amazed at how much the balls went for.
Yeah, absolutely. You're a cricket fan then?
I'm not so much a fan, but we all love a Afridi, so we always watch it when it's Pakistan.
And what is it about Afridi?
Boom boom Afridi.
I think it's very, very special, special for my country, special for my people, because we all know how bad situation back home.
And despite the glittering lineup, the theme was red, the colour of Islamic relief.
United Luton targeted £250,000 from the community at large, and so we'll be putting a project proposal together for £250,000, which consists of food, water, shelter, and alongside with the team from United Luton, they'll be coming out with us to see the distribution.
This is the first time that the Muslim community in Luton has come together in its response to a disaster, and this is its most ambitious event yet, and they've set their most ambitious fundraising target yet. United Luton is determined to oversee the delivery. There's an inherent scepticism about the Pakistani authorities, a perception perhaps only worsened by the current scandal. But the people here can be trusted to give 100%. Nikki Jenkins, BBC Look East in Luton.
Well, in football, the deadline for transfers passed just over half an hour ago. So, were there any last-minute signings here?
We'll find out in a moment, but it's not just football tonight. Jonathan Park is watching Europe's best young roller hockey players in Northampton. Jonathan.
Yes, Susie, well, I can tell you what, we gave the world football, we also gave the world roller hockey. And what you're seeing tonight is the European Under-17 Championship here in Northampton. France are playing against Andorra, England also playing in this tournament. The Latins are very, very good at this competition, and in fact England found out so last night when they were beaten by Spain. Well, more on this shortly, but as you mentioned, football transfer deadline day today. Any news? Not really. Very, very quiet. In fact, the quietest I can remember. No real deals of any significance. Might have been one or two at the last minute. We'll bring you any of those, obviously, as and when we get them. But some football tonight in the Johnson's Paint Trophy, 3 matches. Northampton are playing at Hartlepool, Southend are playing at home to Gillingham, and Stevenage are playing against Brentford in the Johnson's Paint Trophy this evening. Let's bring you up to date with the tennis at the US Open. Fantastic result for Elena Baltacha, who's based in Ipswich these days. She is through to the second round. She beat Petra Martic of Croatia 6-2, 6-2, and she's through to face another Petra Kvitova of the Czech Republic in the second round, as I said. She's hoping to increase her ranking into the world's top 50, so good luck to her. Well, cricket has been on the headlines for all the wrong reasons, of course, recently, but at last, some good news from Bedfordshire, because the Blenheim Cricket Club have broken a world record. The record is the longest ever continuous game of cricket, and it lasted for 105 hours. It started on Thursday and finished yesterday. It's the second time, in fact, they've broken this world record, as Joe Black reports.
105 hours played meant 37 innings and around 8,000 runs scored.
3, 2, 1.
To break the record held by a team in New Zealand, Blenheim needed to play for 100 hours. And at 2 p.m. yesterday, with 100 hours on the clock, it was time to set a new record. And so it was game on for another 5 hours.
We're actually beating a team from New Zealand who did 100 hours in January this year, which is why we've tacked on the 5 hours to make sure that we beat it by a reasonable time. But no doubt in the future they'll beat it again, because we beat their record 2 years ago anyway. So, but I can't see us doing it again. It's mental. It's horrible. It really is.
The allegations surrounding Pakistan may have overshadowed the game recently, but the only scandal on this pitch was the dodgy dancing. So this is how it worked. 24 players were split into 2 teams, and the game was played non-stop. 1 team on, 1 team off. There was fatigue, bad light and torrential rain, but nothing stopped play.
Well, we played through apparently a month's worth of rain in only 2 days. So every time we looked up, every now and again, we keep thinking we're seeing rain, but we're not.
Yeah, Thursday by far was the hardest day and night. I mean, just didn't stop raining from when we started setting up Wednesday night through till probably Friday morning. Just non-stop rain.
What's been your worst moment?
4 o'clock in the morning in the pouring rain on the first night. It was pretty horrendous. It was cold and it was wet, and we were just thinking, what are we doing here? We're mad.
The team hope their efforts will have netted them around £25,000, money to help complete their new pavilion. The rest they're donating to charity. Joe Black, BBC Look East.
Yes, and that's a terrific. Well, the roller hockey, time is running out in the first half. Let's have a chat to Keith Allen, who's the president of the National Roller Hockey Association. Keith, it's a fabulous sport, and I understand the England team, 8 of them come from our region. Why is that?
Because over the last few years, Eastern Counties have developed hockey in their region to such an extent that the Eastern Counties now contributes over 50% of hockey in the UK.
So a hotbed. One of the players is standing next to you, Liam. Liam, you're actually about to go and play for a professional team in Spain.
Yeah, in the 8th of September, 7 days.
And so your chance at this tournament, are you really relying on Spain and France to slip up?
Well, we're relying on to beat Andorra and France to get through to hopefully come second in our group and play in the semi-finals. But again, we've got to beat those teams, and hard work is appreciated.
What is it about roller hockey that gets you going? Why do you love it so much?
I think it's one of those sports that catches you, and once you start playing, you can't get out of it really, and everyone's involved in the sport. Once one family member's involved, the whole family is. It's a vast, exhilarating sport, and once you're in, you can't get out.
Sounds great, lovely. Well, enjoy it. Good luck tomorrow against Andorra. Andorra beating France at the moment. That's a turn up for the form books. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks a lot, Jonathan. Next, the toddler who became the youngest boy in Britain to receive a heart transplant. Tom Stacey from Clacton was just a month old when he had the operation last year.
Today, he was reunited with the staff who cared for him at Colchester General Hospital. His family say speedy action by doctors and nurses saved Tom's life.
For Tom Stacey's family, paediatric staff nurse Becky Chambers is pretty special. She was the first nurse they saw when he was rushed to A&E at just 8 days old.
It's just his colour. He looked a bit sort of blue and mottled and was quite lifeless at the time. There was obviously something seriously wrong with him.
The medical team diagnosed myocarditis, an inflammation of the muscular tissue of the heart. Tom needed a transplant, but his parents knew there was little chance of a donor organ becoming available. Tom, playing today with his sister Polly, is heading for his 2nd birthday. A donor heart was obtained from the continent in the nick of time. The operation carried out at Great Ormond Street, but his parents will always be thankful for what happened here.
Anybody that moans about the NHS needs to look at Tom and what everybody's done for him. Nobody has ever thought he wasn't worth it. Nobody has ever thought that they should give up on him. And everybody's just treated him as if he was their own child. Within seconds of us being in the hospital, Becky had taken him, had grabbed a doctor, dragged him into resus, and within minutes, I should say every doctor, every paediatric doctor in the hospital was there, but not one doctor was panicking.
We're ever so grateful to everything that everybody's done for Tom. Every time he comes in, that everybody's given the utmost and the best. He gets great care here.
He was very, very sick when he came in, and we weren't sure that he would survive. So to see him now is really lovely. He's now doing absolutely brilliantly. He's on medications all the time to suppress his immune system so that he doesn't reject the heart that's been transplanted. But he's absolutely doing very, very well indeed.
Can you come and make Tom laugh?
Finally, they gathered for the official team photograph. The Stacey family and the doctors and nurses who brought Tom back to life. Kim Riley, BBC Look East, Colchester General Hospital.
Oh, lovely.
He's a little star,
He's
isn't he?
gorgeous.
The whole family is. Let's have the weather, because I think it's going to be good news.